Welcome to Ninja Moves. Today we're going to be covering the springing tripod. Springing tripod looks like this. Now, some of the most common places that I see power leakages are generally in the hip snap. Usually the hips will stay down a little bit lower than the knees, and I'll also see a limited range in thoracic rotation. So an example of what that misalignment would look like is the shoulder does not come stacked over the opposite shoulder. So we stay here instead of rotating and yawing this way. So some quick ways to condition that and mobilize that. First, for mobilization, you can start in kneeling camel, and you're just sitting back on the heels. Press your hips forward, finding a completely straight line at the front of the hips, and then come back down with control. Again, power up, firing from the glutes, and then sit back down. You can aim for anywhere between 5 and 10 repetitions of that. Once that's mobilized, you can come up onto your feet and start doing a preparation for a drop back. Prepping for the drop back, you can start with a partial bend in the knees, press your hips forward, and start to give yourself a little bit of resistance, lengthening back through the spine. So you're gonna feel your hip flexors starting to stretch here. There's a moment in the springing tripod where you're floating in that partially drop back position. So training it here is a good way for you to get that sense of proprioception for what it will be like. Some other conditioning drills that you can focus on or use for the yaw component would be the runner's lunge with a twist. So this is a club bell yoga exercise. You start in child's pose. Step the foot between the two hands. Curl back toe under, lift back knee, and keep your opposite hand anchored down to the floor. Grab your club and work on powerfully driving your club up towards the ceiling into a twisting runner's lunge. Notice I'm using the power breath. I would switch sides and do 5 to 10 reps on the opposite side. Once I'm able to generate that power with my swinging arm, that will translate directly over to my springing tripod. So one more example of how that will look as I finish. We'll start on the opposite arm. So that power arm, that power in yaw comes from here. If you're having trouble with your hip snap, another drill that you can do to break down the tripod, springing tripod, is to just work on driving straight upwards so that your elbow, your top elbow is driving up and you're just hanging out in space for a moment. So it looks like this. Landing softly with a bent elbow on the bottom arm. From the other side, driving up through the elbow, finding that bit of yaw, synchronizing your hip snap with your power generated from your arms. And eventually, thanks guys for tuning in. See you next time on Ninja Moves.